ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। Acharya Adi Shankaracharya has completed a detailed discussion on the Swarupa of Manomaya Kosha and finally negates the Manomaya Kosha and says Naiva Atma Iti. Now, the Manomaya Kosha is, like that genie. You all remember the story of the genie who was to trouble the master and demanded some work. Give me something to do. Otherwise, I will swallow you up. And so initially the master was very happy and gave him all kinds of work. But later he became troubled. And then finally he has a good idea and asks the genie to just climb up the tree and come down and go on doing that forever. So this Manomaya Kosha is like the genie. It needs a focus, it needs a direction. And without that, this Rajasic mind becomes the cause for all the adhyasas. And it will project what? Conclusions, ambitions, goals, priorities as necessities. And such a Rajasic mind will not give the jiva any me time, no quality time, no family time. There will not be time for Shravanam, Mananam, yoga, meditation, and all this will be swept aside. And so what Acharya mentioned in one of these shlokas, Tattvadashinaha, Jnaninaha, what do they say? Such a mind is avidya. So what should we do? Manashodhanam karyam. So may one purify the mind of this rajas. And how to do that is not mentioned in this text, but we know it is all through the sadhanas and Gitas and the yogas mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Then Acharya says such a sattvic mind alone can become a Shravanadhi Nishtaha. Who is a Shravanadhi Nishtaha? The one who has asakti for moksha purushartha. So one who is dedicated and committed to the pursuit of moksha. And such a one what? Saha rajasvabhavam buddhehe dhunoti. Only such a one can shake out the turbulence in the mind. Otherwise, one will be chasing so many worldly ends, and finally, the end will come. And then, time will swallow up everything. So, there is always this word of caution that if one does not know one's own true nature, there's no pursuit of self knowledge, then whatever else we do, whatever other vidyas we acquire, it is vyartha, it is waste. So life will become meaningless without this direction. And hence what? Yes, rajas is necessary, but it has to be channelized along the Shreyo Marga. Now, Krishna has said in the Vibhuti Yoga chapter 10 of the Gita, Vidyana aham adhyatma vidya. So I am that Paravidya, that is the self-knowledge. Then finally, in the shloka number 183, Acharya negates the Manomaya Kosha and says, Naiva Atma Iti. And there we saw a few reasons. Why is this Manomaya Kosha not me, not I? And so there, the first reason is Adya Pantaha. So because the Manomaya Kosha is a Vikara, it is a modification of Trigunatmika Maya, and it has an Adi and an Anta. That is, it appears and disappears. It appears in the waking and dream state, and it is, resolved, withdrawn in the Sushupti state. But Atma is na udeti na astam gacchati. There is no rising and setting and appearance and disappearance for Atma. And so Manomaya Kosha cannot be the Atma. Even the local sun, there is no real sunrise and sunset. It's the earth's movement which is leading to that phenomena. Then the second reason Acharya gives is Parinami Swabhavaha. So the mind is constantly changing. We change our moods and preferences, decisions, likes and dislikes. In fact, all the Navarasas we can experience in the mind. Krodha, Bhayam, Shingara, Prema, Bibhatsa, Hasya, Shanta. All the vrittis are experienced in the mind and they are so rapid that it is constantly changing. But what about Atma? Ajo Nitya Shashvatoyam Puranaha. And when there is no birth for the Atma, then how can there be growth, decline, decay, disappearance? So there is no appearance and disappearance for the Atma. Then the reason given by Acharya was Manomaya Kosha is Dukkhatmakam. It is a source of Dukkham. So this Rajas and Tamas in the mind, they bind the Jiva to Dukkham, to the Samsara Chakra through the expectations and the desires. Whereas what about Atma? Atma is Sadanandaha, Nityanandaha, Paramanandaha. And we all love to be the Atma. So how can the Atma be a source of Dukkham? It is always a source of Anandam because we love ourselves. We love to be. We love to be, and that itself is proof that Atma is Nitya Anandam. Yeah. And then, finally, what does Acharya say? That this manas also is a Vishaya. Vishaya means it is a Drishya Vastu. Drishyatvat Mithya. So the mind is known. The mind can be known, and the mind is observed and witnessed, and so na drashta. It cannot be the drashta, the seer. It is drishta vastu. It is always see. So for all these reasons, Acharya negated the Manomaya Koshaha. Now, Acharya is going to proceed to the key kosha, which is the Vijnanamaya kosha from the shloka 184 onwards. Now, what is the difference between Manomaya kosha and Vijnanamaya kosha? There's a very subtle difference. If you see that the three bodies, we saw that the subtle body comprises of three koshas: Pranamaya, Manomaya and Vijnanamaya. So the difference is that the Manomaya Kosha is a Karanam. It is a data receiving data and analyzing tool. It is Antakaranam. No? So when there's an object, it will say, oh, do I know this? And it will check the chittam. Yes, it is a rose. So initially this manas, which is wondering, what is this? Both of them are pink. Do I know both the objects here? So this sankalpa vikalpatmakam manas is manomaya koshaha. Yeah? There is vichikitsa, doubt. And there is vikalpas, options. Now, should I do this? Did I lock the gate? Did I switch off the gas? Did I pay the bills? And then it consults the buddhi, and the buddhi says, yes. Nishchayatmika buddhi is, I know this is a rose. This belongs to To me, this is a desi gulab. It is fragrant. So that kind of assertive, determining, rational faculty is the buddhi. So there is an I in both. The manomaya I is the sankalpa vikalpatmaka I, the doubting I. But the nischayatmika I, the buddhi I, is the asserting I. So we call that I karta. So the basic difference is manomaya kosha is a tool, karanam, and the vijnanamaya kosha is, we are going to see a lot about vijnanamaya kosha today. It is karta. Puja Swamiji calls the vijnanamaya kosha karta as the villain in Vedanta. It is the imposter. Imposter in the sense that the karta is going to take the jiva for a nice ride. And it is taking the jiva round and round and round. Ihaloka paraloka gami. In this loka, also, it is going to convince the jiva, I have to do this, this has to be done. And after this life also, let's go to that loka, this loka. So this ihaloka paraloka gami traveler, this karta vijnanamaya kosha is what we're going to see in the next few verses. So let us go to shloka number 184. बुद्धिर्बुद्धीन्द्रियैः सार्धम् बुद्धिर्बुद्धीन्द्रियैः सार्धम् सवृत्तिः कर्तृलक्षणः सवृत्तिः कर्तृलक्षणः विज्ञानमाया कोशः स्यात् विज्ञानमया कोशः स्यात् पुंसः संसारकारणम् पुंसः संसारकारणम्. It's Vijnana Maya, not Vijnana Maya. Buddhir Buddhindriyai Sardham Savriti Kartra Lakshanaha Vijnana Maya Koshasya Pumsa Samsara Karanam. Now, how is the Vijnanamaya Kosha defined? Buddhihi Buddhindriyahi Sardham. Along with Sardham, Savrittihi. Along with the modifications, vrittis, kartra lakshanaha, vijnanamaya koshaha syat, pumsaha samsara karanam. So here we are in the domain of the buddhi. So, in fact, the buddhi is really the Vijnanamaya Kosha. So, but first of all, what does the Vijnanamaya Kosha comprise of? Buddhihi, that is intellect, and Buddhindriyani. Buddhindriyani is simply organs of knowledge. Sardham, along with what? Savrittihi. Now, Savrittihi means along with the modifications of thought. Now, what are the various thoughts that can happen in the buddhi? Countless thoughts. But the first thought is going to be the I thought. Aham vrittihi. And we know that as soon as we wake up, there is the aham vritti. The I returns and is revived after the deep sleep. And then there are countless idam vrittis. This is a idam amraphalam vritti. Then there is, pushpam, pushpa vrittim in the mind. These are all idam vrittis. And now this aham vritti will connect to all the idam vrittis. No? I am so and so. I live in this house. I am a Hindu. I am an Indian. I love painting. Yeah, I have to go to the bank today. So aham eti, that is the first quarter. Buddhihi, buddhindriyahi, sardham, savrittihi is Vijnanamaya Koshaha Syat. This would be, or this is the Vijnanamaya Koshaha. Now, what else is a Vijnanamaya Kosha? Kartra Lakshanaha. Now, Lakshanaha means characterized. So, the Vijnanamaya Kosha is characterized by what? The notion of doership. That is Kartritva. So, Kartra Lakshanaha Vijnanamaya Kosha. So, Kartra Lakshana is qualifying the Vijnanamaya Kosha Shabda in this shloka. Now, when we meet somebody, can I say, oh, hello, I? Can I just stop? And I? No, that will create an akanksha, right? That will create an expectancy. Why did this person stop? No? So, because one is expected to complete. I'm strong, I'm sukhi, I'm dukhi, I'm anxious, I'm going here, I'm going there, I like this, I like that. Yeah. So that is the notion of doership. Kartra lakshanaha vijnanamaya koshaha syat, and that is that this constituents, the buddhi, intellect, and the organs of knowledge. And then what else does Acharya say here? Pumsaha. For this jiva, this vijnanamaya koshaha is what? Samsara karanam. Earlier also, Acharya said the same thing with respect to Manomaya Kosha. Because of the aham and mama. So, in the mind, where there is a aham, then it expands to mama and expands to all this anatma, world, situations, people, places, possessions, and these two become the cause for samsara. And especially the buddhi, because it involves the I. We're going to see how the buddhi is called upalabdhi sthanam. Upalabdhi sthanam means the place where the I returns. The I shines brilliantly in this buddhi guha. The buddhi guha, which is dark, but in that chaitanyam shines. And in the lit mind, there will be this I. But what kind of I? Chidabhasaha, reflected consciousness. So the I that is confined or limited by one body and one mind. And hence that is this karta, ahankaraha, vijnanamaya koshaha. And now Acharya will say that is this jivaha. That is who the samsari is. Samsara karanam. In the Gita also we saw the shloka. Ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. The one who takes himself to be the doer is a vimudhatma. Vimudhatma. Because really what is happening? Indriyani indriyartheshu vartante. Yeah, so the sense organs are interacting with the gunas. But naiva kinchit karomi iti. Yeah, so in Vedanta the vision is clear. As Atma is akarta abhokta. But due to this karta, I notion in this Vijnanamaya Koshaha, buddhi, it becomes samsara karanam. Because we have seen like the genie. The genie, the I will not simply sit quietly, அங்க உட்காந்து சும்மா உட்காந்து just meditating. I'm fine, I'm contented. No. We'll have to check the notifications. We have to get up and go somewhere. And remember to talk to this person, call up this person, make short-term plans, long-term plans. Oh, cricket match is coming. And then, be the cheering the world team. And then I have to represent, Team Bharat. So this ahankara is a very strong entity, very strong entity. And through these verses, Acharya wants us to understand the nature of I, and the nature and how the I is impelling us. I is demanding, dictating, desiring all the time and becomes the samsara karanam. So this was a definition of Vijnanamaya Kosha. बुद्धिर्बुद्धीन्द्रियै सार्धं सवृत्तिकर्तृलक्षणः विज्ञानमयकोशः स्यात् विज्ञानमयकोशः स्यात् पुंसः samsara karanam. Okay. Now the next shloka is 185. Now, this is going to explain further that how this Vijnanamaya Kosha is limited. It's a limited I, conditioned I. So let's chant this. अनुव्रजच्चित् प्रतिबिम्ब शक्तिः अनुव्रजच्चित् प्रतिबिम्ब शक्तिः विज्ञान संज्ञः प्रकृतेर्विकारः विज्ञान संज्ञः प्रकृतेर्विकारः ज्ञानक्रियावानहमित्यजस्रम् ज्ञानक्रियावानहमित्यजस्रम् देहेन्द्रियादिष्वभिमन्यते भृशम् देहेन्द्रियादिष्वभिमन्यते भृशम् अनुव्रजति चित् प्रतिबिम्ब शक्तिः विज्ञान संज्ञः प्रकृतेः विकारः ज्ञान क्रियावान् अहम् इति अजस्रम् देह इन्द्रियादिषु अभिमन्यते भृशम्. Very simple shloka here. And this shloka is showing us the power of reflected consciousness. Now, remember, we have seen that wherever there is a subtle body, the mind, or now we can take it as the buddhi. Wherever there's a subtle body, then it will capture the light of consciousness. So consciousness will shine in the subtle body. Sukshma Shariram. Just like the sun shines brilliantly in a glass pane. But does it shine in a wall or a tree as brightly? No. So the expression of Chaitanyam will be the brightest in this Vijnanamaya Koshaha, the buddhi. And it will be less in the body, less in the prana, in other mediums. Because just like a polished mirror only will brilliantly reflect the face very clearly. But all other surfaces, the reflection will not be so clear. So that is pointed out here that this Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anuvrajati. Anuvrajati is follows very closely. That is, it is very close to what? Chit Pratibimba Shaktihi. Beautiful word. Samasa, that is the power of the Pratibimba, reflection of Chit. Yeah. So the power of reflected consciousness is Chidabhasa. And in the Chidabhasa, that is the sentient mind, what will there be? I notion. And that is the Vijnanamaya Kosha Anuvrajati. That follows or that is just rises along with the mind. No? The two rise together and sink together. Anuvrajati Chit Pratibimba Shaktihi. This is called Vijnana Sanyaha. Sanya means definition, label. This is called the Vijnanamaya Koshaha or Sanyaha. And what else is it? Prakritehe Vikaraha. Now we know that even the buddhi is put together intelligently by the sattva amsha of the pancha mahabhutas. So it is a modification of the trigunatmika maya. And that is the word there. Prakritehe vikaraha iti vijnanamaya koshaha. Now, jnana kriyavan, it is jnana kriyavan. Now we are seeing the definition of vijnanamaya kosha. So the buddhi is where there is this knowledge. Knowledge of what? I notion. Yeah. Now this I, it is knowledge, it is jnanam. Then I am. I am. So we all know that we are, and that is the knowledge. Yeah. I am, and I know that I am. That is the jnanam portion. But then we don't stop there. So the buddhi will continue to kriyas, actions. I am Sukhi, Dukhi, anxious, insecure, young, old, doctor, in medicine, and I am this, I am that, I am traveling, I want to celebrate, I like this, I don't like that. That is all the kriyas. So first, when that aham vritti is in place, that alone is jnanam, knowledge. But that jnanavan atma, which is identified now, becomes a kriyavan, endowed with activity. And jnana kriyavan aham iti ajasram. Ajasram, we have come across the word before, means always, non-stop. Non-stop what? Aham iti, aham iti, aham iti. There is the I notion in what? The last two words. Deha indriyadishu abhimanyate bhrisham. Bhrisham means totally, intensely. So this I notion will be placed. Abhimanyate is identified with the body and indriya, senses. Then Adi Padartha. Adi Padartha is the mind. The mind, and then extensions. What are the extensions of the body? We identify with the lineage, kula, jati, family, graham, vahanam, pets, the world, possessions, roles, my functions, duties. Everywhere I will put that I, me, mine. This is for me. This is my duty. This is who I am. This is what I like to do, what I don't like to do. And so you see how this aham has expanded to the entire samsara. And that is why in the buddhi, which is the upalabdhi sthanam, where the I notion arises, that expands into mama, mahyam, and the whole samsara is in place. So, this is showing us the power of the I, how the buddhi is the seat of this ahankaraha. अनुव्रजच्चित् प्रतिबिम्बशक्तिः विज्ञानसंज्ञः प्रकृतेर्विकारः ज्ञानक्रियावानहमित्यजस्रम् देहेन्द्रियादिष्वभिमन्यते भृशम्. So, now in the Gita we have seen that when this I is rajasic, then abhimanyate brisham. There will be a adhyasa. This is my body, my mind. This is who I am. This is my world, my family. And I have to do this for my sake or my family's sake. Rajas. So the same I, when it is becomes a Shravanadhi Nishtaha, the Sattvic I will understand the actual Swarupaha. What is actual Swarupaha? Aham asmi, aham bhami, kadachit na apriyaha. That is, I am, I shine in the light of awareness, and I'm always the pleased self. Kadachit na apriyaha. So that is the whole journey now. So let's go to 186, next shloka. अनादिकालोऽयमहं स्वभावः अनादिकालोऽयमहं स्वभावः जीवः समस्तव्यवहारवूढा जीवः समस्तव्यवहारवूढा करोति कर्माण्यपि पूर्ववासनः करोति कर्माण्यपि पूर्ववासनः पुण्यान्यपुण्यानि च तत्फलानि punyanya cha tatphalani. Actually, the tatphalani will connect to the verb in the next shloka, which is bhungte. So we should read both the shlokas together. So let's read 187 also. भुङ्क्ते विचित्रास्वपि योनिषु व्रजन् आयाति निर्यात् यथ ऊर्ध्वमेषः अस्यैव विज्ञानमयस्य जाग्रत् स्वप्नाद्यवस्थाः सुखदुःखभोगाः. Once again. अनादिकालोऽयमहं स्वभावः जीवः समस्तव्यवहारवोढा करोति कर्माण्यपि पूर्ववासनः पुण्यान्यपुण्यानि च तत्फलानि भुङ्क्ते विचित्रास्वपि योनिषु व्रजन् आयाति निर्यात्यध ऊर्ध्वमेषः अस्यैव विज्ञानमयस्य जाग्रत् स्वप्नात्यवस्था सुखदुःखभोगः. So these two verses are connected. Anadikalaha ayam aham svabhavaha jivaha samasta vyavahara vodha karoti karmani api purvavasanaha punyani apunyani cha tat phalani. So let's take the first half of the sentence, which is spilling over two shlokas, 186 and 187. Again, now the Vijnanamaya Kosha is going to be further described. So Vijnanamaya Kosha is where there is the Aham Svabhavaha, I notion. Earlier before we came to Vedanta, we identified with our buddhis. We thought that is only who I am. We did not have this distancing or the idea that I could be something other than the buddhi. Yeah, I am an engineer. I am studying graduate college. So the buddhi is what one would normally identify with. But here Acharya is going to negate. And how does he do that? Acharya says this buddhi, I notion, I am aham svabhavaha, is anadikalaha jivaha. Anadikalaha jiva means this jiva or this Vijnanamaya Kosha does not have an adi nor does not have an adi. It is beginningless. Anadikala. But then we just saw that Vijnanamaya Kosha is Prakriter Vikaraha. So the Maya does put the Jiva together, the Vijnanamaya Kosha, through the collective Sattva Guna or the Pancha Mahabhutas. So does it not have a beginning? How can Shastra say the Vijnanamaya Kosha Jivaha is Anadikala? So the commentary, the Swamiji, Chandrasekharan the Swamiji, explains that at night when we go to sleep, where does the Vijnanamaya Kosha go? The I notion. It goes into the Karana Shariram. Yeah? It is resolved, becomes Avyaktam. Then it returns in the waking state, becomes Vyaktam. So too, in the Pralaya Avastha, when the whole world is withdrawn by the Rudra Shakti in the Pralaya Avastha, then all the Jivas, they do not end. They go into the Avyakta Bija Avastha, Maya Shariram. Then again, in the next Srishti cycle, the Maya will, through the power, will bring back the buddhis and the bodies and everything is restored. Yeah, just like the hibernate mode. And then again, it is all rebooted, the universe. No? So that is why the Jiva is called beginningless. Anadikalaha ayam aham svabhavaha. What this means is, since anadikala, the cycle is going on eternally. Vyaktam, avyaktam, vyaktam, avyaktam. So there is a visible expression and then there's a hibernate mode. This is the Jivaha. The Jivaha, the traveler, the I notion or Vijnanamaya Kosha, they're all synonyms. Then what else does Acharya say? Vijnanamaya Kosha is Samasta Vyavahara Vodha. This word Vodha comes from the Vodr Rikaranta Pratipadikam in Sanskrit. And Vodha means coolie, a porter. Yeah, the one who holds. Yeah. So this Jivaha now, or the Vijnanamaya Koshaha Jivaha is the carrier, is like the coolie, the karta, and holding what? Samasta Vyavahara. Samasta Vyavahara means now this person, the Jiva, through the I notion, he is holding all the activities. Yeah. All the activities in the Vyavahara. When I say pashyati, gachati, shrinoti, I see, I do this. So when there is a strong sense of doership, are we not holding the activities? I take care of the family. I fought for Bharat Desha. I represented Team Bharat. I built my own home. I built an empire. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, they can all say that. So we are all Vodhas. Vodhas because it's like carrying the I notion, which is doing all this Vyavahara. Samasta Vyavahara Vodhaha. Vodharaha. That is the one who carries, as though carries all the transactions in the entire Vyavahara through the I notion. I'm a parent, I take care of my children. Yeah, I'm the boss, I take care of the company and provide employment. So that is the notion of doership here. And whereas what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Arjuna, you are not the Vodha of this Mahabharatam. I am, So, nimitta matram bhava he savyasachin. I am carrying the entire Loka Vyavahara. I am doing it through all the buddhis and all the bodies. But because of the I notion, we all think that we are responsible, we are doing this, we are doing that. And that is exactly what Acharya is pointing out, that Aham notion is so strong. Now, next line here says that the one who has a strong I notion, what will that jiva do? Karoti. The next word karoti is simple. Karoti means does. Does what? Karmani. Karoti karmani api. Karmas. What kind of karmas? Any karmas. Laukika karmas, Vaidika karmas, worldly karmas like, if I have to work and earn money, that's worldly karma. But if I do puja, sankalpa, yajna, danam, tapas, these are all spiritual karmas. For all of this, what? There has to be a bodha, I notion. That is meant here. Karoti karmani api, this bodha. Bodha jiva. The next word is purva vasanaha. Vasana, we all know, means a samskara, a groove in the mind. Chapter 17, Gita, Krishna said, Yoyat Shraddhaha Saha Eva Saha. What is the predisposition in the mind? What is my inclination, my tendencies, my raga dveshas, my guna composition? We have brought it from the past janma. And now, along with the current activities, it is triggering the karmas. That is why we have habitual offenders like habitual alcoholics, habitual liars, habitual, smokers, because that vasana is so strong. Purva vasanas are so strong. So those vasanas, they are goading, they are impelling the jivas to go in a particular direction. This is not the first time we are connecting to Shastras, Vedanta Shastras. We have only picked up the thread from the past. So the Purva Vasana are so strong that they will take the Jiva along a certain line of action. So Purva Vasana. So the Jiva is a Purva Vasana. And in accordance with the Purva Vasanas, Karoti Karmani. What kind of Karmani now? Punyani Karmani and Apunyani Karmani. That is simply Papa Punya. So if there is Shraddha and sattva in the mind, and if the vasanas are pure, then there'll be pure karmas. But if the vasanas are impure, more rajas, and worse still, tamas, then there'll be apunyani karmani, papa karmas, like we are seeing today in the Gulf countries and Middle East. No? So if the vasanas are so strong, this I notion will demarcate everything, fragmented vision. My oil, my space, my country, and I must protect my people, but I can destroy others. No. So these tensions are escalating all because of this I, the rajasic and tamasic I, which is clinging to mama, mahyam, to one ideology and a few things. So we see that inner samskaras, the grooves are so strong. Even in the same family, the three children will have three different purvavasanas. Even between twins, there will be a big difference. No? Because that is the purva vasanas. Now, up to that is shloka number 186. This Vijnanamaya Kosha, Jivaha, who is going round and round Anadikala, and which is really that Aham Swabhavaha, as though carries all the Vyavahara, is the carrier of Samasta Vyavahara and performs karmas as per the Purva Vasanas. Then we have Chatat Phalani. And what about the phalam of all the karmas? Now we have to go to the next shloka, 187. And then connect with the first word, that is the bhungte. So the phalam, all the karmas will yield karma phalam. Yeah, and then this jiva will have to do what? Karta eva bhokta. So the one who has initiated karmas will what? Bhungte. Let us look at the 187th shloka. Bhungte vichitrasu api yonishu vrajan ayati niryati adhaha urdhvam eshaha. Let's see the first line first. So now this vodha, this vodha karta jivaha is performing actions springing from that I notion as per the purva vasanas. So the actions can be, can be very pure Vedic actions like Sandhya, Gayatri, Yajna, Danam, Tapas, or it can be Papa karmas like Mamsa Bhakshanam, being a non-vegetarian, lying, stealing, causing himsa, drinking alcohol. All this Vedas say will have a Papa karma phalam. So this jiva, this karta, same karta will become bhokta. Cha tatphalani bhungte. Bhungte means experiences. Experiences the karma phalam. How does the jiva experience the karma phalam? It is said in Vichitrasu api yonishu vrajan. In wondrous yonis, we all know there are 84 lakhs of species specified. The janma of an octopus or a crab, or in this country, or imagine if we were in Dubai now, we would be experiencing a very different karma palam, a very tense karma palam there. But here we are peacefully experiencing Shastra Shravanam in Bharatadesha. So, Vichitrasu api yonishu bhungte. So, this traveler, this jiva, Vrajan means present continuous, moves where? Ayati, niryati. Agachati, gachati. Comes and goes where? Adhaha, urdhvam eshaha. Eshaha is a jiva. So this jiva will ascend to higher lokas if there is punya karma phalam, to exhaust it in celestial domains, or if it is papa karma phalam, adho yoni gachati. It will go sink down into the lower wombs of pain, where the papa karma phalam has to be exhausted. So Acharya is only describing the karta bhokta here. And so finally, that is now summed up in the next line, which says, Asya eva vijnanamyasya jagrat swapnadi avasthaha sukha dukha bhogaha. So, asya. Asya is what? For whom kasya? Jivasya. For this vijnanamaya jivaha, the samsari, who is the karta and who travels ihaloka paraloka gami and goes up and down in and out of yonis. Yeah. For this person, vijnanamayasya asya, there are the three avasthas: Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti. The waking, dream, and deep sleep state is there for all the jivas. And there is Sukha Dukha Bhogaha. There is the experience of Sukham and Dukham. So, thankfully, we all don't remember our past lives. What all we did in the past life. But when we go through a painful situation, it is good to stop and remember and say it has already happened. That means some inevitable, infallible law is in place. So I have to do only Namaha. Namaha, and if we resist it, then we cause more pain and suffer. And same thing applies to Sukham. Happy situation, we can connect it to Punya Karmas. And of course, as Acharya says, being born in the human birth, connected to a Guru Parampara and with Moksha Ichha, what greater punyam can be there other than this? So, we are in the process of diluting this kartritvam. Kartritvam has to go. In fact, it has to become a badhita karta. Badhita means sublated, or tamed. Tamed karta. Tamed karta is the one who will say Namaha and Ishvara's will be done. Yadeva bhavati tadeva mangalaya. I do what is to be done. Like our forefathers, I think we are all in the age group and we have experienced our forefathers to lead very simple lives. They perform their Nitya Naimittika karmas and Shraddha, Tarpana, etc., Sandhya, Gayatri, and very peaceful lives. They were not competing, and the stress and tension was minimum. Yeah, and Kama karmas was minimum. So once we move away from the Vedic lifestyle, and then all this rajas and tamas has made the life so complicated, aggressive greed has increased, and gadgets everywhere, no time for anyone, not even for oneself. And so we are no better than the silkworm, who is making this cocoon for itself and then lamenting finally. Yeah, so through this Shravana Marana Nididhyasnam, we are slowing down the samsara chakra, and through this analysis, more and more sattva, we are, gaining, we are on the path to that self-knowledge. Okay? So that is this double shloka here. अनादिकालोऽयमहं स्वभावः जीवः समस्तव्यवहारवूढा करोति कर्माण्यपि पूर्ववासनः पुण्यान्यपुण्यानि च तत्फलानि भुङ्क्ते विचित्रास्वपि योनिषु व्रजन् आयाति निर्यात्यध ऊर्ध्वमीशः अस्यैव विज्ञानमयस्य जाग्रत् स्वप्नाद्यवस्थाः सुखदुःखभोगः. So now we have seen all these words, no? This Vijnanamaya Koshaha is the traveler, is the Jivaha, is the Vodha, is the Samsari, is the Sukhi, Dukhi, Karta, Bhokta, Jiva. All rolled into one. And for this experiencing of Karma Phalam also, all of it is all stacked up in the Sanchita store. Puja Swamiji will say, there is karma phalam to be exhausted in a crab body, in an octopus body, or in a country, rich country like America or Dubai, where it's easy to make money. So if that desire was intense and you could not fulfill it in this birth, then you will take a birth which will allow you to fulfill that desire. So it shows how strong this karta is, and the impact is beyond this life even. It goes to future lives. So that is the power of Vijnanamaya Moksha. So we'll just look at one more verse today, 188. It's a long verse, an important verse with 3 lines. Okay. देहादिनिष्ठाश्रमधर्मकर्म देहादिनिष्ठाश्रमधर्मकर्म गुणाभिमानः सततं ममेति गुणाभिमानः सततं ममेति विज्ञानकोशोऽयमतिप्रकाशः विज्ञानकोशोऽयमतिप्रकाशः प्रकृष्टसान्निध्यवशात् परात्मनः प्रकृष्टसान्निध्यवशात् परात्मनः अतो भवत्येष उपाधिरस्य अतो भवत्येष उपाधिरस्य यदात्मधी संसरति भ्रमेण यदात्मधी संसरति भ्रमेण देहादि निष्ठा आश्रम धर्म कर्म गुण अभिमानः सततं मम इति विज्ञानकोशः अयम् अतिप्रकाशः प्रकृष्टसान्निध्यवशात् परात्मनः अतः भवति एषः उपाधिः अस्य यदात्मधीः संसरति भ्रमेण. It's a long shloka, but important one. And again, it is describing the nature of Vijnanamaya Kosha. So, Vijnanamaya Kosha is what we have just seen, is the one with that aham bhava, aham svabhava, I notion. So that nishtha, here the nishtha, the word comes. Where is it? Dehadi nishtha. That I notion or the nishtha is placed in the bodies. In the physical body, there is an I notion, and in the subtle body also there is an I notion. So dehadi nishtha. And so this abhimana is again the same thing, that identification, not pride, but identification will be there for what? For all these criteria, ashrama, dharma, karma, guna, etc. We've seen this earlier also, that when there is an I notion, then the I notion that is placed in the deha, in the body, then I will be identified with the ashrama. Am I a sannyasi or am I a brahmachari? Then I have to follow brahmachari dharmas or, vanaprastha or grahastha dharmas. So that ashrama, its dharmas, its karmas, its gunas, properties, everything, jati, kula, lineage, and nakshatra, everything pertains to deha, pertains to the body alone, not even to the mind. We can't say that the mind is a brahmana. Yeah. So the physical body, which is born in a Brahmin family, is a brahmana by birth. Yeah. And the mind will be, gunataha brahmana. But here we're talking about that I notion, which has abhimana. Abhimana in that the physical deha. Physical deha, and follows the dharmas, karmas, gunas, and jati, all that. There is a abhimana. And satatam, always there'll be a mama iti. This is me, and this is mine. So this shows that there is an individuality. Have you noticed the individuality is there also in little children? In fact, it's there even in the fetus in the womb. The I notion will be there, but it is very, very subtle, like a seed. No, it has to yet expand and express itself. So, this I notion, aham svabhava, identifies with what? With the bodies, with the senses, with the ashrama, with the dharmas, with the karmas, because of the I notion. And this is how the next line is Vijnana Koshaha Ayam Ati Prakashaha. Ati Prakashaha means it is shining. It is shining and luminous. Luminous because it is in the Chidabhasa. The eye is lit up by Chaitanyam. So it is the Chidabhasa and it is the light of Chaitanyam. And so this buddhi, this is the Vijnanamaya Ayam Buddhihi. And Prakrishta Sanidhya Vashat. Why is it so luminous and so powerful? Prakrishta. Because Sanidhya Vashat. Sanidhya Vashat means it is so close to Chaitanyam. It is so close to Chaitanyam because Chaitanyam is lighting up that aham notion, aham svabhavaha. The proximity. Prakrishta means very, very close. So the I notion is very close to, Ishvara, we can say. Ishvara. Prakrishta sanidhya vashat paratmanaha. For the Atma is not the buddhi the closest. Yeah, because the buddhi is the subtlemost kosha. We'll come to Anandamaya also. Buddhi. And in the buddhi, the I notion arises. Yeah. So that is the closest we can say to Atma. Then the last line, I think, Ataha bhavati eshaha upadhihi asya. So we say that this Vijnanamaya kosha is an upadhi. What is an upadhi? We have seen this upadhi also many times. That which limits the crystal. When we have a crystal and then something colored object is brought near it, like a hibiscus flower or a blue cloth, then it appears blue or red. So now the Atma appears as the Buddhi. So one takes the Buddhi to be I because it is so close to the real I. Yeah. Prakrishta sanitya vashat paratmanaha. Ataha bhavati eshaha. Eshaha is this jivaha or this buddhi is the upadhi for Atma. Asya atmanaha upadhihi asti. Yad atmadhihi samsarati bhramena. And hence what? This Vijnanamaya kosha becomes the upadhi. That which limits us by the limited I notion. And it limits the Atma. Whereas Atma is limitless, is the whole. It is not conditioned by time, space, or vastu. But identifying with the buddhi, yad atmadhihi samsarati bhramena. So this eshaha jivaha goes round and round in this samsara chakraha and sometimes to higher lokas and lower lokas, yeah, and experiencing the karma phalam in wondrous yonis and round and round. So we will take up this last shloka again in the next class. It's an important shloka. So you see that initially, one has to consider that we are all manushya, yeah, manushya jati, right? But then Shankaracharya even goes beyond that and negates and says, Mano buddhya hankara chittani naham nacha shrotra jifve nacha grana netre nacha vyoma bhumirna tejo na vayuho chidananda rupaha shivoham shivoham. Song of Liberation, Nirvana Shatkam, Neti Neti. So Shankaracharya says, all these upadhis are negated. No? Dehatrayam. Panchakoshas. I am Chidananda Rupaha, Shivoham, Shivoham. Hmm. So that is how this proceeds. Acharya is still explaining and unfolding the Swarupa of Vijnanamaya Kosha. How definitely the I is useful to us. We all are doing punya karmas and doing yajnam, danam, tapas, shapanam, mananam, nididhyasana, all that we're doing now, we need an I notion. Yeah. And so this is all part of making the I sattvic and informed, and so that it can understand the nature of Ishvara, Atma, Ishvara, and the Anatma, I, and the difference between the two. Om. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ